Hey guys! Okay, so this is going to be the second video in my, more or less like my surgery series, I guess is what we'll call it. I don't know. I guess that sounds okay, right? So anyhow, I'm just going to kind of jump right in and, I'm going to try to cover a good bit of ground. And I'm just going to try to do it quickly because I know I lied in my last video and I was like, oh, a quick vlog, and it was like 15 minutes, I think. So, yeah. Anyway, here we go. First things first, I had insurance requirements that I had to meet. I know a lot of you guys probably, if you have been through the process or are going through the process or are possibly considering the process, if you are going to have your insurance pay for it or if it is something that your insurance will cover, they most likely do have requirements. I know my requirements, I had to do 6 months of doctor supervised weight loss. And basically all it was, I went to see my doctor and he gave me like just some basic guidelines to go by. And I had to go every month, every 30 days exactly. And they're very strenuous about things like that. It has to be exactly 30 days or like 28 days. It has to be before it's past 30 days anyway. And that was very strenuous for me, especially because my doctor's office, there was some craziness that went on with like scheduling and things like that, so that was kind of difficult a little bit, and it caused me a little bit of stress and frustration, but it was worth the hassle, believe me. So yeah, I had to go every 30 days. Basically they would weigh me. We would talk about what I was doing, like as far as exercising and my diet and things like that. Very basic, but yeah, we had to do that for 6 months. Then there were some things that I had to do, like I had to see a doctor and have a sleep study done, and then I did have sleep apnea, so of course I had to get a CPAP. I had to be compliant with it for, I think it was 2 months that I had to be compliant before she would release me to have my surgery. But yeah, I had to do that. That was really all I was required with my surgery. I know there are some insurances that require like a psych eval, like a stress test and different things like that. But as I said, my particular insurance did not require that, so I didn't have to do all that. So that was a good thing, definitely. It kind of sped up the process a little bit. Not much, but every little bit helps in that situation, of course. But then once all that was done, they submitted my paperwork, all of my medical records. I had to have 3 years worth of my medical records, documenting, my BMI had been where it was at and everything. I had comorbidities, so of course all of that combined, it helps your case when they present it to your insurance company for approval. So I had a lot going on. Of course, if you want to look at it that way, in my favor. I don't like to say it like that because that was not favorable things that was going on in my life at that point, but it was in that aspect, I guess. So for lack of a better way to put it, we'll call it that. But yeah, once they submitted the paperwork to my insurance, the approval process was, I was expecting it to be like a 4 to 6 week wait to hear back from them, and I want to say it was like 2 weeks, almost like to the day. And I got my letter before my doctor's office actually got theirs. And so what happened then at that point is I got a call from the coordinator. She called and set me up. She scheduled me a surgery date. And also at that point I had to go attend a nutrition class. And I also had to set up, I had to have some lab work done before my surgery. Of course, I mean, it's required of everybody. You have to have the lab work done before you have a major surgery like that. So I had to have all that done, and I also got to meet with a nutritionist in the class that we had. It was basically like a class setting, but the nutritionist just came in and did a spiel and went over some things with us. Gave us this booklet and things like that. But yeah, the class was the week before my surgery. And I want to say it was about 2.5 hours long. Don't quote me on that because I don't remember. This was like 4 or 5 months ago now. And yeah, my memory is not that great about, you know, what even happened 5 minutes ago, much less 5 months ago. So, yeah, but I mean, it was roughly probably about 2 to 3 hours. And that was total with the nutritionist and everything. So, I mean, they basically just kind of went over a lot of things, just covered a little ground about a lot of things. And, I mean, they sent me home with a ton. I called it my bariatric Bible because it was literally a ton of paperwork and reading material and, you know, pamphlets and booklets and just everything imaginable. I was definitely well prepared as far as, you know, with reading material and resources and things like that, which was awesome. I mean, I still refer to those today, and I'm sure probably even 3 or 4 more months from now, I probably still will be using those to some degree, just because I'm very OCD about, what did that say? Am I supposed to do this? Or wait, can I have that? Or, you know, I know I'm not supposed to take NSAIDs, but can I have this cold medicine or whatever? You know, I mean, just stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, I learned a lot from that class because I had done a lot of my research and everything, and I felt like I was well prepared, but there was still a few things that, you know, I didn't really fully understand, and I didn't really realize, you know, and it brought a lot of things full circle. But, yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me slow that down. I'll hold that thought for just a second till I get to that point. Anyway, also at the 1 week before my surgery mark, same day I started my class, went to my class, that was the first day of my pre-op diet, which I was on liquids for the week before my surgery. So basically that was like sugar-free pudding, sugar-free popsicles, broth, Crystal Light, Powerade Zero, things like that. And, you know, it did get monotonous. It was very hard. It really put me to the test and tested anything that, you know, any boundary I ever had or ever thought about having. And somehow, though, I made it, and, you know, it was an experience, suffice to say. So, yeah, that was a week before. The day before surgery, of course, you know, all surgeons they vary to some degree. But the day before my surgery was clear liquids. I'm sure like 99% of surgeons are going to have you on clear liquids the day before your surgery. But yeah, that was how that was. And of course, you know, I lost a good bit of weight. I want to say probably about 10 pounds that week. Just on that liquid diet. So that kind of got the ball rolling, and I was like, yes. You know, and I'll be honest with you, I felt really good. I had a lot of energy, you know, leading into my surgery, and I had already noticed, you know, I gave up carbonated beverages, and, you know, all that stuff had detoxed out of my body, and I felt great, and I was like, yes, we're on the road. So let's get to day of surgery. I was a nervous wreck that morning, and that goes without saying, I guess, because, you know, you're altering your body, and you know that you're embarking on what's going to be one of the wildest rides of your life. You know, completely changing your lifestyle and you know, changing your body, and, you know, but in the best possible way. And it's just one of those things that, you know, regardless of how much you think you've prepared yourself or how well prepared you feel that you are, you're really and truly not. You know, and you realize that once you kind of get there, get in your hospital gown, and they're starting your IV and everything, and you're just like, am I really doing this? Is this really happening? What am I doing here? You know, but once they get you, you know, back there with your don't care shot, you don't care. You legitimately, all the nerves go away, and you're like, you're ready. You're like, let's do this. And, you know, I remember I woke up, and yes, I was in a lot of pain. You know, I know some people don't have very much pain, and, you know, everybody's pain tolerance is different. Every body is different. So what I experienced is probably not going to be what you will experience. I'm just sharing my experience. Keep that in mind. So please do not let any of this deter you or frighten you or put you off in any way. I'm just being honest with you and telling you what my personal experience was. And I was in a lot of pain. And I remember I was very nauseous. But thankfully, you know, they got me some medicine, got that all under control after. You know, I remember waking up and I was just like, what have I done to myself? You know, I was kind of freaking out there for a minute. And I vaguely remember that. But yeah, so once all that got under control, I was okay. I had some great nurses and everything at the hospital. I had to stay the night of surgery and then one more night. So I was there 2 nights. Which wasn't bad because, you know, the next day I got up, I got to walk a good bit, you know, get rid of all that bloat and everything because, you know, once you've had that surgery, you are so gassy because they essentially are inflating your insides to complete the surgery and perform it and everything. So you have all that gas, which, I mean, I know nobody wants to talk about that or, you know, deal with that, but it's a fact, and it's one of those things. But it's terrible. Like, that is seriously probably the worst pain as far as like the recovery is that. Or it was for me. I don't know, you know, what everybody else will tell you that has had the surgery, but that's personally my opinion. But anyway, the walking definitely helps. That's a great way to get up, you know, get moving and get rid of it. So yeah, I remember I started on clear liquids though the morning after surgery. Everything went well, you know, no problems. I remember I tried to eat a little bit of Jello. They gave me some Jello on my tray, and it was I remember, you know, it just felt like I was swallowing rocks. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't eat that. But I did fine with the broth. You know, I was getting my liquid in, my water and stuff like that. So I was doing good with that. But that was really the extent of, you know, my hospital stay. Was just, you know, the walking and trying to get used to, you know, quote unquote eating, if you can call sipping on broth eating. But yeah, getting used to that and everything. But then I'm going to go ahead and kind of talk about, you know, the early like stages, like probably about I would say like the week after the surgery when I got home. It was a curve for sure. Because I had gone from, you know, one of these people that I didn't care what I ate. I would literally put anything into my body. I'm so ashamed to admit that, but it's the truth. And that's part of my journey is accepting that truth and, you know, owning it for what it is. It's empowering now to say that and to be able to share that with you. Because, you know, I realize that now, and I look back and I'm like, why did I do that to myself? And I'm thankful I don't do it anymore, definitely, because, you know, I realize now how completely and entirely destructive that was. And so it's definitely a good feeling to be able to look back and, you know, realize that, hey, that behavior's changed drastically. But I had gone from that to, you know, I was literally only able to eat, you know, a couple of teaspoons of food at a time. And of course, at that stage, my surgeon, a lot of different surgeons, okay, your diet is going to vary. They're going to put you on different foods at different points. And no two surgeons are going to be the same. But you have to follow your surgeon's plan. Don't go by what anybody else tells you, or don't think that there's some kind of umbrella like, oh, this is what a gastric bypass or weight loss surgery patient eats at this point, or, you know, they can or can't have. That's not necessarily true. You need to go by your plan that your surgeon or nutritionist has given to you. My surgeon released me to soft foods like soft vegetables, oatmeal, puddings, you know, things like that. Sugar-free puddings, of course, things like that, as tolerated when I came home. So I remember I ate like some scrambled eggs, which I learned very quickly. Scrambled eggs are not my friend anymore. I still can't eat scrambled eggs. I'm 4 months out, and the only way I can consume eggs is they are deviled or hard boiled. That's it. I can't eat scrambled eggs. I can't eat, like, you know, omelets. I used to love omelets, and I can't eat an omelet now for anything. So it's okay though. You know, I don't mind because I can still enjoy eggs, you know, in some way. So that's cool. But you know, it's just one of those things you learn. And one of the things that they tell you in your class, a lot of people, I've noticed, I've compared notes with a lot of my fellow bariatric patients, and a lot of the common denominators is they do tell you that after surgery your taste buds will change. Usually 9 times out of 10 I've noticed most people say that there's some degree of change in their taste buds and preferences and things like that. And I will say I have noticed that too. Before surgery, just one good example right here, I despised asparagus. I could not tolerate it. I would not touch it. I thought it stunk. I thought it was the worst thing known to man. Now I love it. I crave it. It's just one of those things that, you know, it tastes good. And I made the unfortunate mistake that I stocked up on a lot of protein powders, and I should not have done that because, you know, after surgery there are certain flavors now that are intolerable to me, or they just don't taste right, or the texture like is just way too off and I can't do it. It's one of those things you kind of have to play it by ear. What I would recommend, especially for like your protein supplements and things like that, don't stock up on a lot. Go ahead, grab, you know, at GNC and a couple of places. I know at Vitamin Shop, if that's something that's local to you. GNC though, I know it's my local go-to, and they carry the Quest Protein. They do like a just single serve trial pack of their protein powders. That's definitely the way to go, in my opinion. You know, do that because that way you get to sample some variety and, you know, trial those out, see what you can tolerate, and then that way you've not sunk a lot of money into a giant tub of protein that you don't know if you're going to be able to use or not. So yeah, definitely listen to that when they tell you that your taste buds may change, because mine definitely did, and it was kind of like a rude awakening for me because I'm like, I've never liked the flavor of grape, I've never liked asparagus, but now I love it. I can't get enough. What is earth? It's just really strange. It's definitely a process, and it's all aspects. You know, it's crazy. But yeah, and I remember too, the first week was really hard. It was my learning adjustment, and I remember distinctly, you know, I've had several people ask me, did I regret it ever at all? And I won't lie to you, the first week I did have buyer's remorse, but that is very common, very, very common in weight loss patients, weight loss surgery patients. And, you know, they call it buyer's remorse, of course, because, you know, obvious reasons. But, you go through that. It's almost like you're mourning the loss of a friend or something, because you feel like, you know, I'm never going to be able to eat again. What have I done to myself? Why did I do this? Is this how I'm going to have to live the rest of my life? You know, that type of thing. And for me, it passed very quickly. And I'm so thankful it did, because, you know, I was just like, why did I do this to myself? What have I done? And it was absolutely just devastating, you know, for a couple days. But once I kind of readjusted and I started kind of branching out and talking to other patients and hearing their stories and seeing their success, and, you know, realizing that, hey, it does get better. This is just a bump in the road, you know. And I realized it can only go up from here, and it's only going to get better, and it has every single day. I mean, I've had, you know, my share of dumping and, you know, things like that. And, you know, there have been days where, you know, I can't eat, or I felt like, you know, I was physically too sick to eat, or too nauseous, what have you. And, you know, I wasn't able to, and there are some days that I don't want to eat, and I kind of just force myself to eat regardless, you know, that type of thing. And that's just some of the things that, you know, you're going to see that with any type of bariatric surgery. But, you know, as we all know, you have to eat in order to function and in order to lose weight. So therefore, you know, regardless, I just push through. I I eat and I go on about my business, and, you know, protein's our friend. And, yeah, so it's definitely a learning curve when you start out, for sure. I'm going to close out right now, but I wanted to say something. I know I talk about a lot of different terms and like lingo and things like that. So if you ever have any questions, like if I say something that you don't understand or you have a question about or whatever, just leave me a comment, send me a message, whatever, and I'll be happy to try to explain that to you, or, you know, help you understand it, whatever. But yeah, if you guys that are going through the process or getting ready to go through the process or whatever, if you ever have any questions or anything like that, or you just need some support, whatever, definitely do not hesitate to send me a message or inbox me, you know, whatever. I'm here, and I want to be able to support you the same as, you know, I appreciate your support, and, you know, I look forward to sharing our journey together. So, yeah, just keep that in mind, and don't ever feel like you're alone. I remember the first couple of weeks I definitely felt isolated and, you know, kind of alienated from everybody, because I was like, nobody understands. Little did I know there are like 50,000 million people that I know and, you know, have networked with that yeah, they definitely understand. They know firsthand. But yeah, it's still a learning experience every day. Like I said, I'm 4 months out, and I'm still learning, and I'm still losing, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be or I'm going to be, but thank God I'm not where I was. And yeah, so it only gets better as it goes. But anyway, I'm going to close out. I'm sorry, I've rambled again for like probably 20 minutes, and I'm so sorry, guys. I apparently cannot make a short vlog to save my life. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.